Well, the latest news 2 hours ago. Israel-Gaza war live. Netanyahu says he is in deep sorrow over the act. Israeli Prime Minister pays tribute to hostages killed after the IDF mistook them for a threat. Hostages named as Yotam Haim, Samar Foyad al-Talauka, and Elon Shamriz. Dear me, that's a shame, isn't it? Sorrow over the accidental Israeli hostages' deaths. In a tweet on Friday. Yeah, that was yesterday, this is Saturday now. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu mourned. I don't think he was capable of that. The accidental killings of 3 Israeli hostages by the Israeli Defense Forces, saying, together with the entire people of Israel. Don't know about that. Is it a mind reader now? I bow my head in deep sorrow and mourn the fall of 3 of our dear sons who were kidnapped, among them Yotam Chaim and Samar Foyad al-Talauka. He only names 2 of them, but there was 3. So why didn't he mention the third one? This is an unbearable tragedy, he states. Yeah. Unbearable tragedy. Try looking at fucking Gaza. Unbearable tragedy indeed. The entire state of Israel was evening, he stated. Bet they don't. My heart goes out to the grieving families in their difficult time. I strengthen our brave warriors to penetrate the sacred mission of returning our abducted. Well, they didn't do much good there, did they? Even at the cost of their lives. Well, their souls are supposed to be. That's what soldiers do. They risk their lives in the field of battle. They don't risk their lives murdering innocent civilians. Even on this difficult evening, we will bind up our wounds. What wounds? Try looking at Gaza people's fucking wounds. Try looking at all these little babies' wounds. Try looking at children's wounds. Children that you wouldn't even spit on if they were on fire, would you? You know perfectly well you fucking well wouldn't. I don't give a fuck if I get banned on here. I really don't. It's only fucking YouTube anyway, no one gives a flying fuck about it. Fucking Netanyahu. Acting like he gives a fuck. Well, that's why more hostages. He turned them down and said no. I'd rather continue the bombing. We all know that. It was all over the news at the time when he commenced his bombing campaign of innocent men, women, and children of the day. That ceasefire, and he could have had more Israeli hostages, but he said no. He told Hamas not. Unbelievable. But then that's Zionism for you, isn't it? Even on this difficult evening, we will bind up our wounds, learn the lessons, and continue with a supreme, that word supreme, effort to return all our abductees home safely. That's up to Israeli people to decide, isn't it? It's up to them to decide whether he actually gives a fuck about them or not. I'm like the other guy a time ago. Zionism is the enemy. Zionism will always be the enemy. Zionism is cruel, it's wicked, it's evil. A 100 million Red Indians. 100 million Red Indians. I don't know how many Aborigines it took. A long time ago. And we know 6 million Jews, World War II. Not just in Germany, but right across all of Europe. They don't tell you that though. You have to check that out in history on your own. He bows his head in deep sorrow, but he doesn't bow his head in shame, but does he? Because people like him have no shame. And he doesn't believe he's right either. Does he? Hell. There isn't one person that supports the murdering of all those innocent people only because they live in their own fucking country. There isn't one of them that have ever experienced shame. No one. Free speech, not hate speech. This is free fucking speech. Nothing to do with hate or anything like that. To do with people who have double standards all the way down the line. People who think another people, the Palestinians, are lesser than animals. This has been stated tons of times by the Israeli government. One of them even purported to state that they would nuke them. They would nuke Gaza. But they're not going to do that, because if they nuke Gaza, they're going to nuke themselves too. Wind's blowing towards them. All of those people that are sitting back, whether it be Sunak, and that includes the leader of the Labour Party that's not even in government yet. The EU, Joe Biden. Why they don't feel deep shame in allowing this to continue, I will never know. I don't know what they are. But I know me. I can only describe myself as a human being. A normal, everyday human being. A nobody. That actually gives a fuck about the sanctity of life. Oh, we don't know what the meaning of life is. Nobody knows that one. That's a big question. But respecting the sanctity of life. Something no Zionist has ever done. And this will continue until there's nobody left in Gaza. Maybe a handful at the most if there is. Who knows? They'll either get shot by the hands of the IDF or transferred to the West Bank. Because sooner or later, you mark my words, sometime in the future, the West Bank is next. That's what they did to America. 100 million Red Indians. They're not going to move them into another country because no country in the world wants the Palestinians. They don't want them. I mean, Jordan for years has been allowing American weapons to go through its country into Israel. And those weapons, of course, we all know what they were used for, what they've been used for over the years, over decades, 75 years. And still, weapons, bombs are coming through Jordan. They don't want the Palestinians either. Egypt's never going to open the gates to let them in down the south of Gaza either, because they don't want them. So they're trapped in Gaza with no way out. Even if Jordan, there's no point to that, if Egypt decided to open their borders to move all those people through Egypt and transport them either across the water to Cyprus to go from there into Europe, Western Europe and Eastern Europe, I can guarantee to you, I know obviously Western Europeans that could do something to stop this and do nothing and sit and watch it won't want them. That's a fact. That's why Britain gets all immigrants that pass through to Europe, England, and even they don't want them. Our Prime Minister here in the UK mentioned a couple of weeks ago, after he voted against the ceasefire, before the ceasefire happened, he voted against it. He did state, of course, that Britain is willing to take in Palestinian refugees. But he only said that because he knows perfectly well there's never ever going to be any such thing as a Palestinian refugee because they are not allowed to leave their own land. They've been locked into their own country for decades. They're not allowed to leave. They can't leave. And we're not allowed to say that Israel are invaders. But yes, they fucking well are. They know they are. Everybody, the whole world knows they are. I mean, the Zionists all know what they're doing. But, even though everybody knows what's happening here, Oh no, free speech is out the fucking window, isn't it? Ah, isn't it Google? Ah, Mark Zuckerberg. Well out the window. Oh no, there's no democracy here on social. And you're not allowed to say. You're not allowed to say that Israel are invaders. Yes, they are invaders actually. We all know that. We know the history. The history is there for everybody to see. For God's sake, it's there, and we all know what their intentions always were. Because we're not stupid. Us general public are not stupid. We see what happened in America to the Red Indians and in Canada, and we see what happened to the Aborigines over in Australia. And we know that Winston Churchill starved a lot of Indian villages over in India to death, including their children. They stole their food for British soldiers during World War II. Not the British soldiers' fault, they probably knew nothing about it. Because nobody's going to record that about their own country, are they? Oh yeah, this is our new British history books, and it tells you what bastards we were during in India, over in America before we called it America, Australia before we called it Australia to the Aborigines, and yeah, Africa. Don't forget that. And it's still a mess today, thanks to a lot of Europe, not just the English, not just the British. All down to one thing: Zionism, Christian Zionism. And it's all the wealthiest people in the world who control it. We know this. Our politicians are the puppets. As I say, they'll probably make a lot out of it too. Yeah, even a way back. And again, I'll repeat to Google, this is free speech. This is not hate speech. This is nothing like that. This is free speech. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm only stating it as it is. Anybody that doesn't like it, too bad. Because nobody else will see it as it is. It was always the Palestinians' fate was sealed in 1917 with that silly little letter, that Balfour Declaration, which I have two copies of in here somewhere. And you know, I don't believe, I mean, the people of Gaza, I mean, they're getting bombed to hell. And yet, there's a woman from Gaza on TikTok, and you know, she speaks as if she doesn't know that they're all going to get wiped out, for God's sake. That's what Zionism does. When it takes over, they only take over a land that is valuable. They're not going to take over a land that has no resources on it. That's not what they do. Look at America. That was full of gold rushes and oil booms here, there, and all over the place at one time. Remember, that's in the history. And there's been many Hollywood movies made about that too, and it's all true. Australia, they've got natural resources too. And of course, as we all know, so has Gaza. All the people that are going to benefit from these natural resources are the people who can do something to stop this carnage, but won't do anything. They won't do a thing. It's so frustrating. And maybe that's why they stopped putting most of it on British television and on British news. All you get is British politics again, back to that old tat, you know. British politics that aren't politics anymore. Haven't been for years. I don't know what they are. It's a circus over there in Parliament in London and Westminster. But to have to know, even on Christmas Day, those poor souls and their children will be getting bombed. Even on Christmas Eve, even on Boxing Day, even on New Year's Day, even on New Year's Eve, Hogmanay, as we call it here in Scotland and in England, I think. And you know, Facebook has a problem with my photo profile. Jesus, who proclaimed to be the Son of God. Yes, he was Palestinian. He was born in Bethlehem. Now you tell me, where is Bethlehem? Where is Bethlehem then? Palestine. So yes, how many parents are Palestinian? You can't get out of that one. Nobody can get out of that one. Jesus, the Son of God, was born in Bethlehem. Bethlehem is in Palestine, which makes Jesus, the Son of God, Palestinian. It doesn't take much thinking about. It doesn't take any thinking about, actually. And you know, Mary and Joseph were so poor anyway, they couldn't travel. They weren't Jewish themselves. They couldn't travel far distances because they couldn't afford to buy, one donkey and then travel and then buy another donkey to replace the donkey that's needing fed and looked after. And that's what they used to do in those days over that part of the world. If you had money, if you weren't very, very, very poor, then you could do that. You could travel long distances by taking a donkey, sitting on a donkey. You go along, your donkey gets tired, so you pull in somewhere. You come across somewhere somebody who has more donkeys, and you give them your donkey. You basically and buy their donkey from them, and you leave your donkey with them. On your way back, of course, you get your donkey back for free, so long as you give them their donkey back that you actually purchased. It's like a hire. It was like a hire in those days. You should look into that in history. Mary and Joseph, they couldn't afford any of that. They were really poor. So yeah, the whole three of them are Palestinian. It's like a rewriting of history, biblical history. Just like the whitewashed Jesus to suit the Europeans, the white Europeans. That in itself is anti-Semitism. And what Benjamin Netanyahu has been doing with the Palestinians, not just this bombing, But since he became Prime Minister originally, in the first place, in fact, I'm not even going to single him out, no. Israel, as a Zionist endeavour, as everybody knows it is, all Zionists know this. Of course they do. They know what they're doing, you know. That in itself is the anti-Semite. They know. Like I said the other night in another video, the people who started populating Israel in 1949, they came from Europe, white Europe. They were all born in white Europe. They came from their own homelands, which was over in Europe. So therefore, you know, there's nobody born in Europe. There's nobody born in Scotland or England or Wales or Northern Ireland or Republic of Ireland or France or Germany or anywhere like that. You can't be born in any of those countries, any of the European countries, and call yourself, you're not an Arab. Not unless your Arab parents have went there to settle and live, and you were born, then you've got Arab ancestry. Your parents are Arab, which makes you an Arab. But other than that, white Europeans are not Arabs. So when they went over to Israel, they were white Europeans. And no, they weren't. They weren't Jews, because all the Jews said no to a new homeland in the beginnings of the 20th century. Any of the authentic Jewish people that are doing videos on YouTube, on here, will tell you the same thing. They know the history, of course they do. You don't think they don't know their own history? Yes, they do. They'll tell you the same thing. They all said no to this so-called new homeland. They didn't want it, and they certainly didn't want to be Zionists when they were asked about that either. So the only people that moved over there were Zionists, and not one of them was Jewish, because all the Jews said no. And you can find it anywhere on the bloody internet. It's freely available for all these stupid, very stupid people who don't see this, who don't want to see this. All the Zionists already know that anyway. They know. Of course they know. They all know. For so many people, for some inexplicable reason. And this is why all of the authentic Jewish people, as they call themselves, the real Jews, I call them real Jews, they call themselves authentic. They shouldn't have to do that. They should not have to say to people, I'm an authentic Jewish person. That's what they've got to do. To let people know that they are a genuine Jewish person. That's basically what they're saying. They're conveying to the general public on their videos that, you know, I'm a real Jewish person. That's what authentic is. Authentic is real, is original. Because they've no other choice. They feel like they've no other option. And who actually listens to them? People stop listening to the authentic Jewish people years and decades before the Holocaust happened in the last century, which is hideous. And just like this, the whole world sat back and watched it. Now they're doing the same thing. The Zionists this time are targeting the Palestinians. But you know, not the little parade. I mean, today's Saturday, right? I can guarantee you half the European countries about protesting, waving those great flags of Palestine. Jesus, the Son of God's country. And not one of those powerful people who call themselves leaders. They don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. They're just following the program that was all signed up, sealed and delivered well before the 1940s, actually. They knew what they were doing well before that, well before the Holocaust. They knew what they were doing. They were plotting and planning. They were holding meetings in Palestine all the time. And even Joseph Stalin went to one meeting. He was a Zionist. That's why he was like that with Winston Churchill. It wasn't just because they were enemies of Adolf Hitler or anything like that. They were Zionists. That's what brought them together. Zionism. Zionism. And this is still not hate speech, Google. This is freedom of speech. Free speech. I am only speaking truth. I am not speaking hate. I am not hating on anyone. I mean, I don't see why. I mean, why do they need all of that country in the first place? I mean, the Zionists, they've got Gaza now. That's in the bag, right? That was always in the bag anyway, but these days it's really in the bag. It's all bombed to hell now. All they have to do is move those people into the West Bank. That's them got that with all the gas there. And they've already been extracting gas anyway. And calling it, instead of calling it the Sea of Gaza, it's the Sea of Israel they call it these days anyway. They've already been selling that. Egypt's been buying it. There's a pipeline running from there to Egypt. They started, I think it was 2020. Egypt started buying Gaza's gas from the shores of Gaza. Renamed, of course, the shores of Israel since 2020. So they're never going to help the Palestinians, man, because they don't want their gas supply cut. With all these types of people, it's always down to this. It's always down to money. It's always down to, if they're going to take over, they will only take over a territory that has natural resources, valuable natural resources. If there's no resources under that country, they ain't going to touch it. They don't want to know. And surely God. I mean, the 21st century. Your governments, the very governments that are allowing this carnage to go on, are the very people that have trained most of you to behave well on the internet, to behave well within their parameters, say things within your government's parameters. Obviously, I'm well outside my government's parameters right now. Because they don't want you to be. You just ignore it. They just say, oh, nobody's going to believe him. They're just going to laugh at him. And if people did believe me anyway, sure as fuck, my government or somebody else's government that would be that. The end for me. The end for anybody. If everybody started believing them and they're speaking the truth about this subject. But yeah. Don't think they wouldn't fucking do it. Yes, they fucking would. $100 million Red Indians, don't forget. The Aborigines. A lot of Indians over in India by Winston Churchill just to be the soldiers. Which probably they knew nothing about that, where it came from. Palestinians. The people of the Son of God. And obviously, at some point, they will bomb Bethlehem. That's a guarantee. That's a given. That's a given. They want to remove everything. All traces of Palestine. Which means all of the Holy Land, basically. All of the old buildings, the old streets that have been built well before Jesus was born. They want rid of a lot. They want rid of all traces of it. That includes Bethlehem. And yeah, that will include that stable too. That the Muslims, the Palestinians, have been protecting for thousands of years. And looking after it well. They've looked after all of the Holy Land very well. They're the only ones who have looked after the Holy Land very well. And I'm still speaking freely, free speech. And if people want to shut down my free speech, then it just shows what a mockery our democracy is, not just in Britain but on a global scale. Doesn't it? Everybody should be allowed to say what they feel, how they feel over subjects like this, without any fear of incrimination or anything. You know, this is the system that's been built up over decades and generations. While everybody's been busy around the world in their own respective countries, in their own little communities, doing their own little things in their own little lives. The system's kept everybody that busy that they didn't notice. And now, the very people you vote in at general elections in whatever country you're in, they're the very people that are sitting back and saying no to a permanent ceasefire. And they don't think any more of the Palestinians as the Israeli government does. The remarks they've made, and we've all heard them. It's documented all over the internet, even on Israeli websites. It's documented on what the Israeli government has stated about the Palestinians. And that's just not a strike at Palestinians. Taking over a Holy Land like that and starting to bomb it, saturation or carpet bomb it, what they've been doing over in Gaza. That's just the start. They envisage the whole lot of it. Not to mention Jordan. They want to take Jordan too. They want to take it right across all of Jordan, Israel. They want to take it across Syria, right across that way, right up, including Iraq. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they are anyway, apparently. And Turkey, who is in NATO at the moment. They want it all. They always did. They always did. But I can guarantee you, they won't wipe out all traces of other things in the Middle East, like what's left of the city of Alexandria. They will keep those ruins in place, obviously, because that's different. That's not like they want all to get rid of all traces of that's hideous. It's always been a hideous project created by very hideous people. And it was only a matter of time. I used to mention this on Facebook, getting back quite a few years. It came out of my mind one night quite a few years ago. Right, they've been up for 75 years, the Palestinians, so when is the Zionists going to make their move? So I started talking about this on there. And obviously, I mean, people just ignore you. They think you're a fruitcake, they think you're an idiot. No, I'm not an idiot, they're the idiots. They're the ones that never looked at history. Never looked at history of Zionists. Zionism as a whole. The very first people who were Zionists in the world were the English. That's no word of a lie. English Christian Zionism predates the very first Jewish Zionism, which is not the Zionism we see today. English Christian Zionism predated Jewish Zionism by 2,000 years. 2,000 years. You don't believe me? Google it. If you can't find it on Google, get a hold of Noam Chomsky. He's still around. Ask him. I dare you to ask him. You ask Noam Chomsky. He's still alive. He's old, but he's still alive. Ask that man. If English Christian Zionism predates the first Jewish Zionism by 2,000 years, that was the very first Zionism in the world. They were the very first Zionists. And that's what they did with it. They practiced it. America, Red Indians, I'm fed up saying it now on this, and the Aborigines. And they done what they done over in India. They done what they did in Africa. Done a lot of other things in Africa. And they always wanted an outpost in the Middle East. Very young Winston Churchill, in the 1920s, always kept on shouting out about it in the Parliament in London, about Britain, England needs an outpost over the Middle East, because we didn't have any influence over there, and now Britain does get all the influence they need over there. Apparently, it's independent, Israel. It's still a British outpost. That's why Britain supports it so much, and that's why Britain gives it, makes weapons for it and gives them to them. It's not just America that does that. America also knows what side its bread's buttered on. The EU, they know what side their bread's buttered on too. At the expense. I mean, how many children have died so far? Thousands and thousands, for God's sake. Innocent little babies, innocent little toddlers. They didn't know anything about that. I know. I thought of that a few nights ago. If Jesus was alive in Palestine right now, what would he do? I don't know. I don't know. Nobody can answer that. Nobody knows. But I'm sure he wouldn't have just sat idly by and watched the shit show. He was better than that. Yeah. The world should be deeply, deeply ashamed. Especially Netanyahu and his government, and all those nasty people within his government that have stated the most nastiest, most gruesome things about Palestinians over the years. These are hateful people, hateful individuals. There's no getting away from that. The whole world sees this. As I say, everything they've ever said that is so hateful against the Palestinians is recorded within all of the Israeli websites that are available on the internet. Haaretz, for one, and quite a few other ones, you know. They've always posted the things that's been said by the Israeli government, which is a good thing. It's admirable that they actually print truth. Because there's so many other websites, Israeli ones, that are Zionist. They only print things that ordinary people don't want to read because they are hateful against innocent people. And the only thing those innocent people did wrong was they were born in their own country. They've had all their land snatched off them, all their olive groves set on fire. Even people in the West Bank right now get set on fire. While everybody's eyes and attention are on Gaza, and it's been reported on Al Jazeera plenty of times, the burning of more Palestinian people. They're getting dragged out of their houses by Israeli settlers. The IDF standing there, helping them in some cases. In most cases, they stand there guarding, making sure nothing happens to the settler who is dragging the innocent Palestinians out of their houses. And the IDF watches those settlers setting those Palestinians on fire. This is what's been going on over the weeks. You only have to Google that too, by the way. And yet our governments, the very people who can't stop it, won't stop it. The very same people they are that tell us, that try and tell us that being hateful is wrong. They're hateful. They are hateful. They are hateful against innocent Palestinians because those poor innocent Palestinians are still on their own in their own country. Only because their ancestors decided to steal that country. And the United Nations decided to make it look legal and above board. Who created the United Nations? The League of Nations. The League of Nations. They were all Zionists. They made such a hash of it. World War I, for instance. They changed the name to the United Nations instead of the League of Nations. They did that during World War II, actually, while World War II was getting played out. While everybody was watching World War II, British and the Germans killing each other. In the background, 6 million Jews were getting annihilated. Yeah. There's always distractions. And at the moment, what's happening in Gaza is a huge distraction to what's going on in the West Bank. But there will be another distraction. Once it's the West Bank's turn, I can guarantee you there'll be a huge distraction somewhere and nobody will be any the wiser what's going on over it. That's the way it works. The Zionists. Anyway, I'm getting out of here.